What is going on, Colts Nation? This is episode 44 of Unstable. It is Victory Monday. It's Victory Week. Coming in hot, man. It was a really good game. Excited to talk about it. With me as always is Justin Kingmaker _DFF. He's your fantasy guy, your go-to guy. How are you doing, man?
Oh, doing pretty good. Going pretty good. We got a lot to talk about today. I'm pretty excited. Had some ups, had some downs, and just ready to talk about it, man.
For sure. We are still at 69 subscribers. I feel like y'all are just joking with us at this point. If you like to keep it at 69, at least get it to that 169 mark. But help us out, like, share, subscribe. Obviously, we are live, so go ahead and comment. We'd love to interact with everybody watching. So just make sure you drop a comment, question, whatever, anything that you saw that we're missing. Let us know. Man, we came into this game and I was asking for Anthony Richardson to show progress, and I feel like we got it. I feel like this was
he did a lot of good things, but he did some bad things too. And
we'll talk about that first. I always like to get, especially on a victory day, I like to get the negatives out of the way and then talk about positives. And I feel like there was a lot of positives in this game. Just a couple things off the top of my mind. There was obviously the fumble that Anthony Richardson had. I don't know if I can necessarily blame him too much for that one, the one he lost. I mean, he got lit up there. The guy kind of went in unblocked. I feel like that was just a really good defensive play. I mean, ball security is important, but I mean, he got lit up.
You're right. Not much you can do about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he on the day, the things that he still needs to work on that I thought maybe he would have been doing these things in practice, staying late, working on his weaknesses, the touch, that soft on the run. He still continues to overthrow the easiest JV of passes. Like you can make that 45-yard bomb accurately in stride, but you can't toss the ball 4 yards on the run. But you know what? It's aggravating. Don't get me wrong, it's aggravating, but I feel like that's a very easy thing that he can fix. You know, whether it be during the season or work on in the off season. It's not like Joe Flacco can teach him that. Joe Flacco's a statue, man. He's your prototypical pocket passer. He's not gonna be able to teach AR shit about throwing on the run.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Bring in Tyrod during the off season or next year. I mean, they're kind of close in having a good arm and athletic build. I mean, maybe that's a free agent to bring in. I mean, hell, he's been on every other team except the Colts, you know.
For sure. I feel like we got the touches that I wanted for Jonathan Taylor to have. He had 24 carries. He had another reception. And the Jets defense, I think they came into this game ranked 7th overall. So I'm not – again, that's a big reason for me not to be too mad about Jonathan Taylor not having a lot of production with his touches. I love that Shane Steichen ran to him a lot more. I like that he used the run game a lot more. I mean, they ran the ball 35 times in this game. And that's really what you need to do. I know 10 of them were to Anthony Richardson. But
I don't think that's a bad thing, though, Jeff. I don't.
Oh, no. And that 2-point conversion where he went with Jonathan Taylor, even the announcers were like, I hate that call. Like, I understand Jonathan Taylor, one of the best backs in the league. But, again, we talked about in the preview episode about, like, feeling for the game. And you kind of have to understand how it's going. And the Jets did so well against bottling up Jonathan Taylor. That play got blown up, just like a lot of the other runs. It just didn't go anywhere. But the runs that were working was when you had Anthony Richardson on kind of those read options. And it was maybe only 4, 5, 6 yards, but that's all you need on a 2-point conversion. So it's like, why not hand that ball off, like fake it to JT and run it? Because it worked on the touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we don't want to get him hurt. We don't get him hurt. But the thing is that's where his bread and butter should be, is using his athleticism. I'm not necessarily saying don't take the ball out of his hands and make him use his feet. I'm not saying that. But let the kid be the athlete that we drafted him to be. And I think Steichen kind of did that and maybe said, hey, do your thing, kid. Like, because at this point, what do you got to lose? I mean, let's be honest. What do you have to lose? So I like the fact that he got 10 rush attempts, whether they be improvised or planned or whatever, but it definitely shows that, yes, you have to respect Jonathan Taylor, which they did. And you can tell that the Jets defense game plan for JT. To only get, 52 yards on 24 carries, that shows that defensive 57, excuse me, 57. Sorry, JT. But they kept him in check, right? But that's where they were focused on him and not focused on Richardson. And that helped him get 2 scores, especially that big one late to get us a win.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that if we use that as that dual threat. Let's keep doing that. That's what we have. Let's enjoy that, right? And if AR is supposed to be this phenomenal athlete, we have to use that. I think you're stupid to not do that.
Oh boy, here comes my toddler.
But I see. AR did really well, man. He made some good decisions. And I think that this is something to build off of. But I don't think fans should get ahead of ourselves as far as saying, okay, he's back. This is how he's going to be. He's going to be great going forward, this and that. It's one game. Yes, it was a good game, not a great game. Let's be fair here. I know we want to get excited and all stuff like that. We want him to be our franchise quarterback. Look, fans, I do too. I want him to be the franchise quarterback. I think he's amazing. I think he can be very good. But this is a step in the right direction, 100% step in the right direction. But there were a few things that we saw that he could definitely work on. Easy fix. Yeah. The soft touch, very easy fix.
A lot of this game, Anthony Richardson, I think his decision-making was really good for long stretches of this game, which is something that we hadn't seen a lot of this season from either quarterback. Mm-hmm. And except for one play, and I said I was going to talk about the negatives first, the one play that I hated the most was when Anthony Richardson's getting sacked, and he does that little toss flip thing, whatever, to try. Man, my butthole puckered up, and I was like, oh, my God. Why would you do that? Like, that was such, like, he has that Andrew Luck mentality sometimes, and it's sometimes a play is just dead. Like, he took that big sack where he lost, like, 16. Man, throw the ball away. Like, sometimes plays are just dead. And you just have to admit a loss, move on. I mean, you made it. I think it turned into a 47-yard field goal. We were talking 31 yards. So sometimes you just have to admit a loss on a play. And again, that comes back to that football, NFL maturity. Yeah. Not, again, we're not saying that he's an immature person. He just doesn't have that experience in the NFL to know, man, sometimes a play is a loss. Maybe I shouldn't just randomly flip the ball up to Trey Sermon and hope that he's paying attention. Like, just it was only a 2-yard gain on the flip. It's like it didn't really matter. Like, just because sometimes
one thing to try and keep the play alive. I get that, like be an athlete, but it's another, like, when you got to know, okay, it's over. Let me just throw it away and we'll try again and not get a sack for big yards.
That's that hero ball Will Levis shit. Imagine if he flips the ball up and Trey Sermon's not paying attention and it like clicks off his helmet, that's going to be all over the NFL highlights. Like, what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah.
Just eat the sack and move on.
Yeah. I mean, 2 sacks for 31 yards. That's a lot for 2 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you should at 2 sacks, you shouldn't have more than 10 yards at 2 sacks. Mm-hmm. But like you said, hero ball, just here, I'm going to keep going back. But those are decision things. Like you talked about the maturity, knowing, okay, I need to not do this and just live to play another down, essentially, right?
Right. Yeah, and I agree. Bayshawn commented, and I just showed it. He, we've been very critical of Shane Steichen and his play calling's been very inconsistent. I think this was probably his best called game this season. There were still a few mistakes, like I mentioned, the 2-point conversion. There were still not so great play calls, but I think this was a lot more consistent. They leaned a lot heavier on the run. And what did it result in? 18 first downs. Not so great on third down, but the biggest one is they had almost 12 more minutes of time of possession. And I think that's
huge in the
exactly
NFL.
what they needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to win that time of possession, you've got a much higher chance of winning the game,
For sure.
especially if you're getting first downs. But the third down, you got to convert those third downs. Those are big.
Yeah. And I will say, I guess I didn't have too many more negatives. You know, the defense, they let the Jets. CBS stole my stat line. I'm just going to say it right now.
I saw that.
Fuck you, CBS. You stole my stat line. I'm the one that said, hey, the Jets hadn't scored more than 24 points all season. And then here comes this guy who didn't subscribe to my damn channel talking about stealing my stat. But it was pretty cool that, you know, I'm kind of on the same pace with the broadcaster on CBS that, yeah, they hadn't scored 24 points. The Colts let them do it. They get 27. Overall, though, I don't think the defense was bad. In fact, they were outright phenomenal for most of that first half. I mean, they had, and this is kind of leans back to the consistency on offense. It really wasn't there in the first half. When you're holding any team, you know, Aaron Rodgers is kind of a shell of his former self, but when you're holding a team to 3 and outs, 9 yards on 9 plays to start the game, I feel like the score should be higher than, what was it, 10-0 or 13-0. The defense did their job for most of this game. And even at the end, they still only let Aaron Rodgers throw for 184 yards. Granted, he had 2 touchdowns, but that was Breece Hall. You know, just like it was like a 6-yard pass. And then you had another one. I think it was Breece Hall. Breece Hall had another good touchdown run. And then there was just I can't say his name, Kenny Yeboah, I think.
Yeboah,
yeah. He only went 1 for 11.
Yeah,
so
but that's a fluke. I don't really count Yeboah because that's not really a guy you're game planning or scheming against.
Yeah.
You're really looking at Devontae Adams, Breece Hall. Those are the guys. And, Garrett Wilson. Let's be fair. Garrett Wilson's a baller, right?
But, man, he was.
But I think they're focusing more on the Rodgers-Devontae Adams relationship there.
Yeah.
Knowing that Rodgers is going to look to him, which he should. They have a great history together.
Sure.
So you have to give that scheme over Garrett Wilson to Devontae Adams. I mean, but I mean, Breece Hall did let Breece Hall run a lot and he scored, but it's not like he tore it up.
No, I mean,
you know, he didn't break 80 yards, but he did get a touchdown. So I mean, it's good for fantasy. You know, the touchdown saves your day, but I mean, he didn't really kill us. Nobody on their team really did any damage. It was like weird touchdowns. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It wasn't.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, for the better part of the day, was very inconsistent, obviously. And you remember the Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of hard to watch. Like the Aaron Rodgers of old, you'll see him scramble out and then throw the ball 50 yards downfield. Just these retardedly good plays. And you just see him running out and he's getting chased and hit. I mean, yeah, he had one good pass on the run, but it's like it's hard to watch at this point. It really is. It's just really hard to watch at this point. See him, you know, but the Colts did their job. The Jets' offensive line is not very good, and you know, Latu finally got another sack. And yeah, let me put that up. Bayshon. Defense has been pretty good. Kenny Moore, fun fact, we haven't lost Aaron Rodgers in years. Yeah, no. And Kenny Moore has been solid. I think he got hurt a little bit dinged up in that game. He got checked out, but thankfully he was okay. And I'll kind of touch on that too. I don't remember any real big injuries. I know Jonathan Taylor had a little work done on the sideline, but that was another really big positive. We came out of it pretty clean.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Latu, Latu's not tearing up the stat sheet, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, in this one, he had 3 tackles, 2 solos, right? But he had a good strong sack, a couple tackles for losses, but he was around the quarterback. I think he had like 3 or 4 QB hits, maybe 3. But so he was there. Like he was in Aaron Rodgers' face, which is good. Like I don't give a crap if he gets 14 solo tackles or whatever. If he's directly affecting plays, man, that's what I want. I want you in the face, like causing chaos, creating havoc, mixing the play up so that way they can't run their offense because you're always in the quarterback's face.
Yeah, and I think that impacted a lot of Aaron Rodgers' throws. Like he was under pretty consistent pressure. And there was several passes to Wilson that were just way off the mark. He was almost picked off a couple times. I mean, there were some bad throws and they were rushed. There was one throw I thought for sure he was about to fumble. They were right behind. I'm surprised he got that pass off, but I think it was Latu right on him. Almost got a sack. It was either him or Odeyingbo. I can't remember who it was, but there was a lot of pressure.
They made Aaron Rodgers look very human. Very human.
Yeah.
Let's be fair, this whole season hasn't been a great Aaron Rodgers season to begin with. No. I think the Jets really got.
They did. This Jets team did beat the Texans by 8 and held C.J. Stroud to 11 of 30. I'm just saying.
We're better than the Texans.
I'm just saying, baby, even though we got swept, I'm just saying.
Hey, that math makes sense in my book.
Math's mathing, baby. I really like that they started to kind of get these tight ends involved. I mean, they combined for 4 catches. I feel like Ogletree's reception, I mean, it was a first down, so it's exactly what they needed. I feel like it was about to go for a lot more, and whenever he tried to get around the defender, he just slipped.
Yeah.
So it looked like he was about to break that for a huge play, but it was a good catch. And, man, how about – I know Adonai Mitchell only had a catch. I think that was the only time he was targeted, too, if I'm not mistaken. But, man, it was a damn good play. I'm a little bit sad he didn't get the touchdown on it, but – yeah, it was a good play. He's kept his balance, took the hit, made a great catch.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get A.D. Mitchell, because he's getting larger gains on these receptions. You know, like this one, it was only 1 catch, but it's for 33 yards. Yeah. You know, so let's not scoff at that. If he can get 3 of those for about 20 a chunk, 15 a chunk, I mean, those are pretty good numbers. You can get those. That's a guy that now becomes a threat for defenses when you can't just game plan against Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. Now you have to pay attention to Adonai Mitchell because, I mean, as we talked about in the preview show, it's not like our tight ends are a threat. They're not using them, you know?
They're finally starting to, though. Finally starting to.
Maybe consistency, right? We just talked about that, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge it and get too excited off one game, you know. But I'm hopeful. I did like what I see. So.
And you know, we got to talk about the receivers, man. Josh Downs had some phenomenal catches. There was that diving catch he made. It was a hell of a catch. Alec Pierce, you know, he only had 3 catches, but for 74 yards, that's almost 25 a chunk. And they were all making good. I know Michael Pittman, he missed a real, like, to his credit, it was a rock. It was a missile right at him. But, I mean, it hit him in the hands. That's one he probably normally catches. But, you know, he missed last week, and he had been playing with Flacco. So I'm sure that there was, I don't want to say rust, but it's just kind of that inconsistency at quarterback and playing with a different quarterback again than maybe he just, I mean, let's face it, Joe Flacco was not slinging it to Pittman like that ball was thrown to him. It was a really good throw by Anthony Richardson, just didn't clasp his hands quite soon enough. But otherwise, I think Pittman had a really nice day, but man, Josh Downs was,
so
he was good.
Is it possible to have 2 alphas on one team?
I mean, it's pushing like we're having 3, man.
Yeah, Josh Downs just gets open at will. And it's not just against the Jets, though. I mean, Josh Downs just looks phenomenal. I loved him out of college. So I have a comp for Josh Downs, and I had this in the draft. So I was very big on Tank Dell. Obviously, me being in Houston, I get to see a lot of U of H games, too. And watching Josh Downs and Tank Dell, they're very similar. They both get open a lot, very easily, right? Underrated. Josh Downs, super underrated. So, man, we're really creating havoc for defenses because you got to think if A.D. Mitchell can come out, then you've got A.D. Mitchell who is a threat short and mid and who has long speed, right? Pittman has shown he can play everywhere, right? So you can move him inside and be a huge slot receiver. Or play him outside like he did last year. And then Josh Downs can literally do everything. And Alec Pierce can stretch the field. So who the hell do you plan for? Who do you guard? Yeah, you know, you pretty much got to be a nickel man the whole time, or a nickel or a deep zone.
Mm-hmm. And I like how they were saying that Josh Downs isn't really that deep threat guy. And it's like, here he is, you know, 5 of 84 touchdown, averaging almost 17 yards a catch. And it's like, well, he can be a deep threat. Alec Pierce is their deep guy. And
right.
like the only one that isn't really the deep threat, like he's he's a very good chain mover. He's a good possession guy, but I wouldn't consider Pittman to be like the deep threat guy. Like you wouldn't put him in that
No,
conversation with the Justin Jeffersons. And for
I think
deep
he's more of
threats,
like your overall utility
yeah,
alpha, like
yeah,
the guy that you can put in any position to do anything and run any
yeah,
route.
yeah. So we haven't talked enough about him. Anthony Richardson. And I
We don't
like
ever talk
saving the
about that
best.
guy.
I like saving the best for last because man, dude, all I've been begging for is like 50 to 60% completion. And this game he had 66%. I'll take
Yeah.
that every single day, every Sunday, Thursday, Monday, doesn't matter. I'll take it. 20 of 30, 272 and a touchdown. I'll take it, man. He was for the most part accurate. He did miss, a couple of gimmies. There was a couple of drops. There's a one bad decision on that little flip to Trey Sermon, but beyond that, he in this game looked every bit the part of what we've been hoping to get. We knew it,
Yeah,
22 years old, that there'd
especially
be
in
some
this point of his
inconsistency.
development. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this the Jets' offense has been terrible, but now
Mhm.
let's not act like the Jets are bad because of the defense. Like they have,
Yeah,
like I said, I think it was the 7th ranked defense. So let's not pretend that they're where they're at because their defense is dog shit. They're there because their offense is dog shit. So Anthony Richardson this year has faced some really tough defenses. Like Pittsburgh
yeah,
came into that game ranked number 1, and he played well to start that game. Obviously, Flacco cleaned it up, but
yeah.
he comes out against the Jets and puts together a game like this, and it's like, man, he just if he keeps playing like this, then I think we can finally settle that quarterback conversation down.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing us, like you said, he's showing us what we want to see. So that's all we can do is just take that and keep building. All right. As long as he's just getting a little better every game, just a little better, showing improvement, that's all we can ask for at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've said in the whole season and even before that developmental. We draft him to be developmental. He just kind of got forced into the starting role, right? So it'll take time,
Mm-hmm.
So everybody just as long as we're patient and we see a little bit of progression every game or every week or whatever, then I think everything will be okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and when Alex was on here too, he was talking about being patient. Sometimes it takes multiple seasons, not just half a season or a couple of games. It may take till 2026 for him to come out and just light the world on fire.
Mm-hmm.
But we just got to sit back, be patient, and try and be as supportive as we can. I
Yeah.
mean, you and I know more about the team in football than most, but that's because we put the time and the effort and the research. But the casual fan, they're not going to know that. They just want that instant gratification, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like that, you're a fan of your team. You want your team to do well. Totally get that. I'm the same way too. Like let's not be twisted here. For all the fans watching, we're fans also, right? First, we're fans, so we want him to do well. We want him to go out next week and 500 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah. And I highlighted Bayshon's comment a second ago, and yeah, I think you're right. I definitely think that you got to call it a benching at this point. Like he made a mistake, and it 2 weeks off, and he comes back and has one of the most consistent, best games that he's had this year. And I maybe that was exactly what he needed. He came into the season. Joe's the backup. He's the starter. No one's challenging him for that. So maybe he got comfortable, complacent. I don't know.
Um, yeah, maybe because he thought, like you said, he was comfortable in knowing he was a starter and kind of
Mhm.
pooped his panties.
But what I really liked about that whole scenario obviously wasn't the losses, but it was that Anthony Richardson didn't, skulk. He didn't, tuck his tail between his legs and cry and bitch and piss and moan. He was out there on the sideline. He had his play sheet. He had his helmet on the sidelines the whole time. He was involved with what they were telling Joe Flacco, and he was doing everything that you want to see for someone in that position. That
Yeah,
I was a starter. I got benched because I was playing like shit, and hey, I'm trying to learn, and he said all the right stuff. You don't know how much of that is the team telling him what to say, but
yeah,
it seems like he was, even the body language was the right thing, and it seems like he did learn. I wasn't expecting the kind of performance that the Colts got out of him. These are the kind of performances that we were hoping that he would provide consistently. I'm not
yeah,
saying that he's going to go for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every single game, but against a really good defense, this is exactly what we wanted to see from him.
right, right. At least the defensive line, right? The defensive line is really good.
Yeah.
He's got a good test coming up that's really gonna see how he's gonna do mentally. Hopefully this didn't give him a big head and he realizes, okay, look, I did this is first fourth quarter comeback. Right? He
Yeah.
did really good. We like that. That's what we want. You want to know that your guy can go out there and do that.
Yep.
Detroit, for as good as the defense the Jets have, Detroit has a way better defense. And their offense can put up numbers at will. They've got 2 elite running backs right now. So our defense is gonna have a test coming up. So we'll see how Richardson does going into the next week against Detroit and see if one he can keep that momentum right and keep building on these relationships with these players because after his tap out incident he's got some rebuilding to do with that because you can come out and say in the media, oh, we support him, but every real true competitor in their head, they're like, nah, that dude wussed out, he's a coward, right? And I'm trying not to use another word, but he's a coward for that. So
Yeah.
he's got some rebuilding to do. I think this game helped a little bit, but he's going to have to keep on and keep on. So Detroit is really going to test his fortitude and show what kind of heart he really has.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm excited to see how that's going to go.
This is gonna, and we've talked about it in depth about where the win loss, where you can realistically be and have at least a shot at that last wild card spot. What you would need to win division. We kind of figured it would take 11 or 12 wins to win the AFC South, and that's kind of looks like what it's boiling down to. You might be able to sneak into that wild card spot at 9-8. You're kind of hoping for that 10-7 mark. So a loss to the Jets would have meant, obviously they fall to 4-7. You got to win out. I mean, that's kind of what that's what it really boils down to. You're talking almost, season over at that point. So a win here means obviously that's not the case. They can drop another game. If they can pull off a win against, this isn't a preview episode, but if they can pull off that win against Detroit, and it's got trap game written on it, man. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that the Colts are, really good, but they have this tendency to play down to bad teams and play really good against really good teams. The year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes can't beat the Colts for some reason. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback, he can't beat them. The Colts,
I'll take it. If you can beat the world champions,
yeah,
I'll take it.
But then they turn around the next week against a bad team and get their asses kicked. So they have a tendency to play really good against really good teams. And right now the Lions are arguably one of the best team. They're up there. There's a good conversation to be had for a few teams, but I mean they're a damn good team.
I think overall the Lions are probably the best team in the NFL. They're rounded and they have everything you could want.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Beishan there. Like you look ahead in the schedule, and I know we're not doing preview, but fuck it, we'll just do it. If they could get a win off on this Lions and go to 500, they've got 5 games left. Patriots is very winnable. Denver should be a really good game, regardless of what happens with the Lions. The Titans, God, it was never the Titans. The Giants are looking like shit. I don't know what they were doing with Saquon. And I would assume at this point that Trevor is probably done for the season. I don't really see a reason for him to get back on the field. I think he had surgery, so he might be. Is he done?
Yeah, I think he's done for the year. Or he's going to be done for the year. You're right. There's no point to bring Trevor in back at this point. Your season, like saying those Titans, it was never going to be the Jags, right? It's another one of those on paper situations. So they're pretty
It's
much just going to play with what they have. Don't look for the Jags to do much. If they're smart, they'll try and go get a higher draft pick. Just because we understand the Texans we're gonna win the division, and then we have a chance also if things keep going well. I don't want to boast or anything like that. Like I said, it's just one win back, but um, the Broncos that's a very winnable game. The Titans, come on, really. Shout out, Isaiah. Um, but yeah, so I don't see it being too rough of a road after Detroit
yeah,
because I think we were talking with Alex and we thought the Jets defense was going to eat his lunch, and he
yeah.
did pretty well.
Mhm,
I got to give it to the kid. He did pretty well against his
mhm.
first test back from punish from timeout. Um, Detroit is going to be another one. So
Yeah,
if he can hold his own against Detroit, I think the rest of the season should be smooth sailing for him. Um, it's
yeah,
going to be exciting to see. Like I said, I want him to do well, and I think he will do well. Even if we lose, as long as he does well and keeps doing making the correct improvements, then I think it's still a win for the Colts.
yeah. And I don't like to make light of a bad injury. What's his face for the Lions? Hutchinson, I think, had that
Yeah.
nasty leg injury. I mean, they still have a good defense, and of course they have an explosive offense. But like I said, the Colts have done really good things against really good teams at the back. I mean, last year they beat the shit out of Baltimore, and Baltimore was killing it last year. So this team has a tendency to play really good. Of course, I think the Lions are going to be heavily favored, but trap game, man. I'm just saying. I mean, it's the Colts at home.
Yeah.
I, I'm not getting into the prediction on it, but after that, you travel to New England to play the Patriots. They're awful. And then they go on their bye week and they get the Broncos out of their bye. So man, if they beat the Lions, they could really go on a run. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying win the division because the Texans got Nico back, so I feel like they're going to. He was throwing to third, fourth string wide receivers. Stephon Diggs. No quarterback is going to look great throwing to third, fourth string receivers. Like Tank Dell just didn't really materialize into anything. So he didn't really have anybody to throw to without Nico. So and that sounds like a Texans
Right.
problem. But but yeah, it's I like the rest of the way the schedule looks. If they can riddle
Yeah.
off a win against the Lions, shit'll get really interesting down the stretch. But this Jets game was a great, I guess, jumping off point. Again, I think Anthony Richardson showed us that he can have a good quality game and be a good starter. And if he
Yeah.
can put together a few performances like this, you have to get to that conversation. Okay, they made the right decision taking him with that fourth overall pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Well,
he's still one of the youngest. The youngest.
yeah.
So
Let's temper expectations too, because
yeah.
not just football maturity, but if he's that young, he doesn't really have a lot of life experience either. So, um, but we're just talking Colts. So as long as that football maturity is good and he stays on the field, no trouble, we're good.
Man, it's just division wise, Bashan. I want the Texans to lose. I can't root for the Cowboys. I
Can't do it.
can't do it.
Can't do
Like
it.
I can't do it. Like I hope it's a tie. I don't know. I,
Yeah.
I can't root for the Cowboys to win any games.
So with Jonathan Taylor getting 24 carries on 57 yards, now I understand that the Jets defensive line is very stout. So,
Yeah.
you kind of have to temper expectations on that. At at what point do we also say, but it's Jonathan Taylor? Like should he have done more or like could he have done more? Because I felt like they were really scheming against Jonathan Taylor and they were not respecting Anthony Richardson's ability at all.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. He had some good runs. He had some really good. It was hard. Like they were not giving him any free yards. Like it seemed like every time he was hitting the line, he was getting popped every single time. There wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of space for him on any run. They were running him outside
Mm-mm.
between the tackles. There just didn't seem like there was anything for him to do. Anything. Even Anthony Richardson's runs. I mean, they were going 4, 5, 6 yards, but there was nothing explosive going on in the running game. They made an
Yeah.
effort to just shut that aspect down of the Colts game. And that's the other big reason that really surprised me and made me happy with this Richardson performance was a guy like him would typically thrive, in a game where Jonathan Taylor's kind of taking over, the run game's going
Yeah.
really well. Things didn't go that way. And he
Uh-uh.
still put together, again, probably one of his best overall games as a pro. So
Yeah.
that
I
makes
mean,
you feel good.
yeah, he's got to hold on to that ball though too. 2 fumbles, you can't do that. I'm not all right with you taking off running and all that stuff. Like, hold on to the ball. Let's do some possession drills. I understand you're a quarterback, you're not used to doing that, but hey, go take some reps at running back with JT and Sermon. Which I noticed Sermon didn't get any touches.
No, he did.
So
He's
he
the
did.
he's the one that got that weird flip thing that for whatever reason Anthony Richardson did.
I
Like it
think they
wasn't
counted
it
that
wasn't
as a
designed.
catch though.
I think so, but he did okay. He had a touch. Sorry,
That's
Justin.
okay. So
He
he did
touched the
touch the
football.
ball. Excuse me, he touched the ball.
No, he didn't have a
So
run though.
so
Did
that
he?
makes me
Hold on.
think if they're scheming for Jonathan Taylor, why and if you notice that now, granted, maybe Gus Bradley didn't notice that, or anybody else on the defensive staff didn't, or the offensive staff didn't realize that. But I feel like once you realize that, why not let's go Trey Sermon, right? Or Tyler Goodson. Let's put them in there. And then that way the defense is now it's like, okay, Jonathan Taylor's not in the game. We're not worried about the running game. Oh crap, there's Trey Sermon for 14 yards. Or oh crap, there's Goodson on the side, like
Simmer
I
down
want
with
Jonathan
the
Taylor to get the ball.
simmer down.
No,
Simmer down with
I
the
want
simmer.
Jonathan
No,
Taylor to
no,
get the
no.
ball.
Trey Sermon running for 14 yards is a little
Uh,
little bit of a lofty
Yeah, I
expectation.
guess this ain't Trey Sermon from college, so we do need to temper expectations on that. But but my point is if you see they're going after the one person, maybe it's not the whole running game, right? Maybe it's just like JT. We're focused on JT. Let's sub JT out with somebody else and see how they react. Oh, are they playing softer now because he's out? If that's the case, then boom, light bulb. Let's do that. And then now they have to respect everything. Like, oh crap. And now when JT gets back in there, now we've opened up more because they're looking at the whole offense now, not just JT. But I don't know. Maybe they didn't realize that or what, but
I, I feel like that this game is kind of the blueprint for the Colts moving forward. It was heavy on the run. Again, I wouldn't like to see Anthony throwing the ball 30 times, but they were down. I mean, they kind of had to there at the end of the game. They weren't in control of anything, so they had to pass. So
yeah.
I'm not mad about that. But man, they ran the ball heavy, and I think that's exactly what you have to do against the Lions. You have to keep the ball away from Goff and away from that two-headed back game that they've. It's that's. It makes me really nervous because the Colts
Oh man,
have struggled against.
the lines are so well
Yeah,
rounded everywhere. I mean,
yeah.
Sam Laporte is good. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, you got Jameson Williams who can burn you. You've got both running backs. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, it's
Gus Bradley's he's probably pulling his hair out everywhere right now,
yeah,
like just trying to figure this out.
yeah.
I think
It's
you just
definitely
play an even defense and just let your players play.
yeah, yeah. Just hype up, man.
Mhm.
This is the game of the year for you guys. Like this, go out there and show them. Like that's really all you can do is hype them up. I
Yeah.
I I
Go
like
check.
I like what Gus Bradley has started to do with this defense. He's changed up where he's bringing pressure. He's not always just bringing 4 anymore. So I just want to see more of that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's. I had a lot of issues just like after that Jacksonville game. I was like, fire him. I don't understand how Jacksonville has one of the worst offensive lines, and you pressured him just once in 34 drive. That was historically bad. Like I'm
Yeah.
not just throwing that word out there all willy. And I'm saying it was literally like historically the worst pressure rate in NFL history. Like and I wanted Gus Bradley gone. It looks like he took that criticism, not just my criticism, but everybody's kind of to heart, because he has changed it up. I've seen Latu almost play similar to a linebacker. I mean, obviously he came in on the rush like he's supposed to, but he was almost kind of standing back there like he was a linebacker and then rushed in. So I've seen him mix up the looks that he's giving on defense. So I'm happy to see that. And
so are we giving Gus Bradley the Anthony Richardson treatment? As long as we're seeing improvement week after week, we're okay with him?
It seems like he's finally starting to utilize the talent that he has instead of trying to utilize the talent that he thinks he has.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't get fancy. You got some good pieces on defense. Let your players be players, you know.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Jalen Jones has been really good at the role that he's been thrust into, and no one came into this season thinking he was going to be cornerback one. Hell, they didn't.
No.
Like he was probably going to be the third corner on the roster. You know, obviously there would be Juju Brents, and I think Dallas Flowers was kind of penciled in as that too. Yeah. Obviously, he looked like shit and got waived, but so he kind of got thrust into the 2 spot. And then Juju Brents goes down, so it's like, now you're cornerback one. And I think he's done nice. I think he's done a nice job. You know, I'm not.
Do you think he's done enough to stay the starter next season when Juju's back?
Again, with the Anthony Richardson treatment, I keep seeing him improve. I think his coverage has been getting a lot tighter. I think he's been doing a lot more pass breakups. Again, he almost had like another pick or 2 in this game. So I think I think so. Like, I don't trust at this point Juju Brents.
At least in a rotation, right?
Yeah.
At least in a rotation.
Yeah. I don't trust Brents to stay on the field. Like that's really what it all boils down to. The best ability is availability, and he's never available. Yeah. So it's like, I kind of do. I do like Jones right now as the one. I do hope. I don't want to look too far ahead to the draft, but I hope if it's still Ballard, whoever it is, I hope they go heavy defense, and I hope it's secondary.
Mm-hmm. I mean, every mock draft that I've been seeing the past few weeks is defense, mainly in the secondary for the Colts. And I'm okay with that, more than okay with that. Because on offense, I think we're set. Maybe look towards the future on offensive line. But
I think they're fine on the offensive line. I really do. They had 3 rookies playing in this game. They had Goncalves, or Goncalves, however you say his name, at left tackle.
I think. Yeah.
I think Tanner Bortolini is the center of the future. I think right now he's actually playing better than Kelly. You know, when Kelly's healthy, I think he's doing better.
I don't see Kelly staying much longer. I think his tenure's getting pretty close to the end. Yeah. I mean, I would probably go out on a limb and say he probably retires this upcoming offseason.
And even if he doesn't, he's in the last year of his contract. I don't see, especially with his injury history the last 2-3 years, I just don't see them, unless if it's for dirt cheap vet minimum kind of thing.
It's got to be, because he's not the Ron Kelly that we're accustomed to, you know. So even if Ron Kelly does decide to go on for greener pastures, you know, maybe goes and plays for a team that has a better chance at a Super Bowl, which is fine. Like, look, bro, I'm not bashing you for that. You want to win. You know, we're not ready to win right now, the big one. We're not ready to win the big one right now. So, man, if you got to do that and somebody's going to pay you, brother, go get your money, man.
Yeah.
Especially at the end of your career, get that last payday. Mm-hmm. But if that is the case, hopefully it's one of those situations where he sits down with Irsay and says, "Hey, man, this is my plan. I would look at replacing me in the draft or free agency or whatever you do, off-season trade, whatever you do." But hopefully he gives the team enough time with notice. I mean, so that way we can plan accordingly, and it's not a shock like the whole Andrew Luck situation.
I don't think so. Like I said, I think they have their guy in Bortolini. I've seen him get upfield. I've seen him make some key blocks on some run plays where it springs Taylor loose.
Yeah.
And they let it, and in their right guard, I can't remember his name. It escapes me. But they've started 3 rookies on their offensive line against the Jets, and the Jets do have a really good front. And he only took 2 sacks. He was under pressure a few other times, and he made some good throws under pressure. But 2 sacks. I'll
And
take
you
it.
can't be mad about the 2 sacks. The thing that's weird is the 33 yards that goes with that because
That's
that was
what
on
you said.
him. The sacks, okay, whatever. 2 sacks is not a big deal against a defensive line like them, but the 33 yards is the problem. That's
Yeah,
something you got to work on.
yeah.
Throw
When
that
you're
thing
running,
away.
he was so far out of the pocket. You could have thrown it away, and it wouldn't have mattered a
Yeah,
single bit. Like, just
right.
just throw it away. The play's dead.
Yeah,
Accept the L. Move on to the next.
yeah.
That's just something that he's got to learn.
I think what would help Richardson for especially like rollouts or bootlegs, if you will, and is having like a super athletic guard that you can pull and have him lead block. I mean, I get it. There's no guard out there that's as fast as Anthony Richardson or Jonathan Taylor. I mean, just being
I
real about it.
I'm just saying there was I can't think it was this game, but I saw Quentin Nelson is fast, man. Fast for how big he is. I saw them where they were running a play on the outside. He went out and made that key block on the outside. He ran clear across the field to make that block. It's like they've got some very athletic linemen.
Yeah,
And
so defensive linemen and linemen now they have that like 10-yard speed. Like the
Mhm.
dudes are lightning fast within that 10-yard. Long speed though is different situation. But all you got to do, all you want that guard is just pull out, get that first big pancake block, and then boom, I'll let your athlete be an athlete.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I think that would be a good piece for our offense. I mean, looking at the way Jim Bob Cooter builds an offense, I think that's gonna be what we need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think another thing that they might need to look at how good right now would it be to have someone like Brock Bowers?
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
I'm not.
Colson Loveless out of Michigan. That dude's that could be a game changer.
Yeah, because right now they don't have like I thought Jelani Woods would be that next Kittle, that next Gronk, that next. I was sold on him, and he can't stay healthy either. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they can find that tight end. Just grab one from Iowa. They always pop out great tight ends. Just grab whoever's coming out of Iowa. Maybe he'll be Dallas Clark 2.0.
Freaking Iowa, Notre Dame, they just put out dudes.
Yeah.
So whoever, yeah, exactly. Whoever's the tight end coming out of Iowa, come on.
Oh,
it's got that pedigree.
Oh, geez, and I'm just looking at the Texans score, and I haven't been following the game, but yeah, it's 17-10, and Dallas has the ball at the 45.
Joe Mixon's been killing them, man. So it's not just against
but
us. Joe Mixon is just doing well this year. So
man,
I'm glad we don't have to worry about the Texans anymore for this year.
They're making Cooper Rush look good, though.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. You should not let Cooper Rush look good. That's not a good thing to do.
So I hate rooting for Dallas, but I mean it would be nice to kind of keep the Texans closer in the division.
Yeah.
Gain that game on them, that'd be awesome. Hey, and we'd also be the only team in the AFC South to win if that happens. So, I'll take that too.
Hey, there we go. I'm definitely looking forward to a lot of the shows come the off season as far as like, free agency. That's always a big with me being big into dynasty fantasy football. Free agency is a big day. I mean, I'm just stuck on the computer in my phone, just seeing what's happening, what transactions. Looking at you, Ballard. Come on, bro.
You don't do nothing.
And then scouting the rookies. I love scouting the rookies, man. Love watching that film, seeing who's going to be available, where they should fall in the draft. So get whatever our draft position is, man, I'm going to be looking at that hard, seeing, what team need and all that stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to, especially towards draft time, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be – you're probably going to get tired of me because I'm just going to be talking stats, talking colleges. And I know a lot of people don't watch college football, but with me doing, dynasty fantasy football, that's the only reason I watch college football is because the rookies. I want to see what they look like on tape.
For sure. Yeah, I've tried to watch a little more college ball. It's hard. You got the family thing going on, and you're already taking up all of your Sunday. It's like, and then asking for all day Saturday too. It's every once in a while she'll go with family, and I'll pop on some college games, but it's tough for me to do both. And if I had to choose between the two, it's going to be the Colts. So it's going to be the NFL.
Yeah,
but
man, so we talk about Gus Bradley making improvements and stuff like that. So I'm curious why, or not why, but if Cato, how much Cato June has influence with defensive scheme and all that. I mean, I understand he's just a linebackers coach, or not even linebackers, like assistant linebackers coach, but like that is I feel like that's an untapped well right there that you really should be looking at. This
Maybe
isn't
he
just
has.
a guy that played in the league. This is a guy that played in the league at a high level.
Yeah, maybe he has. Who knows, man? But
So I don't
whatever
know.
he's doing, it looks better. I mean,
I mean, the
they were
linebackers
all,
are doing well,
yeah,
so you can't say he's not doing it.
yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I think we're hitting the nail on the head with as long as Gus Bradley's making those little improvements each week, then we'll be doing okay. Because I mean, this week looked good. I mean, you kept the Jets offense pretty much in check. They didn't really have one section of their offense that was dominant.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say, oh, they killed us in the run game, or oh, they killed us in the passing game. Which is good. I feel like that's what you want. Yeah, they scored points, and that sucks. They scored too many points. But you know what? Suck it. We
I
scored
mean,
more points.
realistically, they put up 20. I mean, they gave him a short field with that fumble.
Yeah,
Realistically, they gave up 20 points. It's a defense. I'll take giving up 20 every single day. I mean, if you're holding teams to 20, you should be able to win that game. So
yeah.
I'm not mad about that at all. That's what
No.
they have 2 touchdowns to field. And let's talk about real quick before we get off. How about Matt Gay? I was also ready to write him off. Like he was missing shit all over the place, and he came out and he hit a 56-yarder, which is something that I didn't think he could do anymore. So he it was at the, it was, I guess it's in New Jersey. It's not really in New York, but either way, it's an outdoor stadium. Nailed a 56-yarder.
Yeah,
I think we can
yeah.
finally
So
put that kicking issue behind us again.
yeah, yeah. Well, for now, yeah.
Yeah.
So good thing is going forward, he's got a couple more dome games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a plus. But yeah, Matt Gay, you're off the radar for at least this week, buddy.
You're getting a pass from the unstable crew. I know.
Yeah.
If you're again, maybe he's one of the 69 subscribers. I don't know, but you're getting a pass from us this week, buddy.
Yeah.
No, I
I
mean
don't
he
know.
looked good.
There was an account named Nicholas Cross that I approved for participation on the Colts fans page this week
Uh-oh.
on Facebook. So don't know if it's the real guy. Probably not.
Probably not.
I'm sure it's just a fan account, but
Probably not.
maybe I start putting a little bit on there for Nicholas Cross. It said Nicholas Cross, not Nick Cross. Nicholas Cross.
Man, on my TikTok page, I've got I've got a couple of Josh Downs, a couple of Anthony Richardsons.
Oh yeah.
So maybe one of them's the real deal. Probably not.
Yeah. They need a check mark on that or something because it's hard to tell who's who.
There's a lot of name
You
thieves.
can't
on
even
there.
trust Twitter anymore because now you can pay for a blue check mark.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, I mean I think this is a good place to wrap it. We've almost hit the hour mark, and my kid's acting like a lunatic, so I got to get him to bed. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Bayshawn, thanks for being so active in the comments. We appreciate. We love interacting, talking football. So thank you so much for being here. We definitely appreciate it. And
yeah, definitely enjoy talking.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been a great victory Monday, victory all week. Should be another great game coming up. Not sure if we're gonna. I think either way, we'll probably pop out Friday. Probably just try to go live again. Seems to be working out pretty well. I think they're more fun to do anyway. But yeah, enjoy the Monday. Enjoy the rest of Monday Night Football. Seems like a good one. So probably going to turn that on too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for sure.
if you're still here,
yeah,
like,
if
share,
you're
subscribe.
here watching the chat, dude, heck yeah.
Yeah. And tomorrow we'll be doing this AFC South show. Obviously, we're not going to do it today because the Texans are going to be playing late. So we're going to come out with that one tomorrow. You'll see me on there. So head over to this AFC South show on the Curtis Podcast Network, where we'll be talking about the entire AFC South show. Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you guys Friday. Make sure you head over to Kingmaker_DFF. Show some love over there too. We really appreciate it. Y'all have a good week. We'll see y'all Friday.